Good afternoon, five-star real estate agents, and welcome to another episode of the Deal Doctor Livestream. I'm Eric Graham, filling in for the one and only Don Phelan. I'm here with my special guest today, Cindy Beckwith. Welcome, Cindy. And before I allow Cindy to introduce herself, our topic for today is how to represent multiple buyers for the same property. So we're going to dive into this here, but before that, Cindy, welcome to the Deal Doctor live stream. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do with Five Star and where you are.
Thanks, Eric. It's great to be with you. And you have a nice tan and you look nice and rested after being in Florida.
Okay.
Welcome back.
Giving away my secrets.
Hi, I'm Cindy Beckwith. I'm with the broker support team at Five Star, and I've been with Five Star since October. I'm actually in the Lansing area, and we are gonna get the Lansing market going. It is going, and I'm happy to be here.
Oh, we enjoy having you here, and thank you for being our special guest today. So there's a couple things that we want to try to dive in and try to explain to some of our agents. When you have multiple buyers who are looking at the same property, especially in this type of market where it's going to become more and more common, I think, where all of a sudden you have two buyers who want to look at the same property. Where's your loyalty? What happens? And one of the questions that comes up is when you're acting as a buyer's agent for multiple buyers on the same property, is this a dual agency situation?
Yeah, it is not. And I think there's a lot of confusion on that, Eric, because dual agent is when you have a seller and a buyer. It's not when you're working with two buyers looking at the same property. And I think that's some confusion about representing buyers, like you said, in this market for the same property, which can happen often with a limited market, with a limited inventory.
Yeah, I mean, it's only happened to me once in my career, but we always have to go back. I guess our second question would be, well, Cindy, what disclosure requirements do we need to do? And actually, I pulled out all of the buyer agency contracts that we have, the ones that we mainly work with, anywhere from the Greater Kalamazoo Association of Realtors to our simple form, the one-page buyer agency contract with Five Star. That's the simple form that lets a client walk away or terminate. There's no teeth to that one-page document. And then we also have WMLARs. But all of the buyer agency contracts, or whatever contract that an agent is using, pull it out and read the language, because there's going to be a section in there dealing specifically with when you have multiple buyers looking at the same property and what is the outcome. So for example, with GCAR, I'm going to summarize some of this to make it easier. In GCAR under section 8, it addresses current and future buyers, and it states that the buyer may consider property that is also under consideration by other buyers working with the agent. Buyer agrees, agent shall not be required to disclose to buyer interest in the same property. Now in GCAR, we don't need to disclose that we have other buyers looking at the property, and that's in the Kalamazoo area, which is kind of different because some language will require you to actually inform and disclose to all buyers that, hey, look, just need to let you know that I'm also representing another buyer on the same property. I don't see why it's a bad thing to do. Even though in GCAR doesn't require, if it were me, I've always disclosed that because I want everyone to be in the open and understand that, hey, I have another buyer that I'm also representing on this. I just wanted to let you be aware of that. Because in this market, I truly believe that each of those buyers is only going to get one shot at this offer.
Right.
And I would explain to them, let's bring your best offer forward. And some of these buyers are going to have caps, right? They're not going to be able to, do $10,000 over. They're going to have to spend within their means based on that approval from the loan. So therefore, you can still keep things confidential, but you can just encourage them to bring their best foot forward. But what are your thoughts on that, Cindy?
Yeah, I think me personally, when I'm working with buyers, I like to be honest up front and I'll go through all the different scenarios up front. So they're aware, especially in this fast moving market with limited inventory. And no, I totally agree with what you're saying, Eric. I think it's just best to be honest. And buyers are all going to they'll have different loan programs. Some may
Yeah.
be conventional, they may be FHA, some may have cash available to do an appraisal guarantee, others may not, closing, occupancy. So there's a lot of different terms in the agreement that would be different. And I think if you're honest with buyers up front, there may be some that may have a problem, but I think if you're honest up front, you've already explained what could happen and they understand that, it is best to bring your best foot forward because you may only have one chance on that property.
Yeah, explaining further with some of the disclosure requirements. So the 5-star real estate simple buyer agency form, which is a 1-page, doesn't have a whole lot of teeth, but it does spell out what you're doing for that client. States under section 4 that buyer acknowledges that agent may represent other buyers purchasing property similar to the desired property. So in this case, that buyer is acknowledging that there might be other buyers that you end up bringing to the table for the same property. WMLAR or West Michigan Regional, their exclusive buyer agency agreement under section 9 states that buyer understands that other potential buyers may make offers to purchase the same or similar properties as buyer is seeking. Buyer consents to the representation by agent of such potential buyers. So here, you don't really need to disclose because hopefully they've read that client has read that, and they are consenting that, yes, Cindy, you have 2 buyers that are going to be making offers on the same property. So it goes back to the language of the buyer's agency agreement. And I just want to impress upon all agents, make sure you're reading that and you point that out, especially in this type of market. Now, you brought up an interesting point, Cindy. You said, well, if you let people know up front, they're probably not going to be disappointed because they know that there's other people that you're representing.
Exactly.
But what happens when we have a client who maybe just doesn't want us to represent other buyers in this situation?
It could happen. I think it would be more, contact your broker and maybe discuss it with them. They could refer it to another agent. Another point that we talked about was make sure that you want to work with that buyer. So it may just be on that specific property, not all properties, just that specific property, because you want to be able to have that buyer and be able to work with them if this property doesn't work out. But there are options that you can assure them that it can be taken care of.
Yeah, and the sooner that the agent reaches out to the broker for that support and help, we can help with solutions. It's after the fact that we can't do anything.
Yeah.
And a solution is, like you said, Cindy, we can get one of the supervisory brokers to help write that offer. We could help you maybe get in touch with another agent to write that offer on behalf of that client, but it's only going to be specific for that particular address in that offer, because we want to make sure that you get that client back after they don't get the house.
Yeah. Hopefully they get it, but
Hopefully, it could, yeah, we don't know. So we just want to make sure that there can be hard questions when you have multiple buyers come up, especially when you have both buyers who come to you, Cindy, and say, what do I need to do to win this house? That puts you in a different position now, because we need to understand as agents, we have a duty of confidentiality for both parties. And there might be a time where you just have to say, what do you need to do to win this house? You need to put your best foot forward, your best offer, because we can't disclose what other buyers have made. We can't disclose, oh, hey, my other buyer just put it in for $400,000. I bet if you do 405, you can win.
Yeah, no.
That's not really ethical. So you need to be very careful. And what you just need to say is, I encourage you to put your best foot forward, your best offer based on what you feel comfortable with regards to your loan and your mortgage. Because that's what it's going to come down to, right? What can they
Right.
afford?
What they can
What
afford and what's best for their
and what's
budget.
best for them?
And really only they know. They may be pre-approved for a lot higher, but they're not comfortable. And that's why, like you said, Eric, it's really important for them to make the decision, um, what they do want to offer.
Yeah. So again, we just wanted to kind of spend a few minutes here on multiple buyers and what to do. We always encourage you that if you get in that position, reach out to the broker. Let us help you. There are solutions that we can do to help support you here at Five Star Real Estate. At this time, Cindy, I don't know if I'm looking to see if there's any questions that are coming through. If there are questions out there, we'd like to see what you have. No questions yet. But again, Five Star is here to support you as the agents. When these situations come up, give us a call. Let us help you. Cindy, I want to say it was a pleasure seeing you today and speaking with you. Thank you for your insight. We look forward to doing this again very soon. And thank you, Five Star Real Estate agents, for tuning in today. Don will be back next week for another great episode of the Deal Doctor Livestream. Thank you all, and have a wonderful day.
Happy selling, everybody. Thanks, Eric. It was fun. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care.